I love that. It's like, hey, bring her head over here. It's like, how many people have done that?
I know how many people have gotten to that point. Because I definitely recruited her,
Yeah.
and then she was like, let's go kill these people that are trying to kill me. And I was like,
Oh, maybe
okay.
you just got the sword that way. Okay.
That's how I got it, because I took it off his cold, dead hands.
Well, they all left. Where we?
I know. That was weird.
Ted, your background is.
You're like moving in and
I
out
know.
of fucking Night City, dog.
Just like pause it or something.
This loop's too good. No, I'm not gonna pause it. You kidding me?
Hello and welcome back to the Side Escape Gaming Podcast, episode 148. I'm your host, Jake Burke, and I'm joined as always by James St. Charles and Ted Johnny Silverhand Libby.
That was my best.
That was great.
Shot.
Yeah, you're like in Night City.
I'm
Get your guitar out.
Yeah.
I'm hip and I'm in Night City.
You are hip and you're in Night City. We were just talking about some Baldur's Gate. But enough about Baldur's Gate, because this is the 148th episode of the Side Escape Gaming Podcast, where every Monday morning a new episode goes live on youtube.com. I'm gonna be honest, that's like pretty much it, but sometimes we go up on Spotify. Like when I remember to send the file to Ted, we go up on Spotify.
It's okay. It's no big deal.
Once a week, we Discord over 500 miles, talk about a gaming-related topic and what games we are playing. This week, we're talking about, I'm gonna be honest, the surprise of 2023. Cyberpunk 2.0, Phantom Liberty. We've all played it to different extents, to very different hour counts. I believe I'm at 31.
Wow.
Yes. James, I have a problem. We'll talk about
31 for your game file?
My game file. Yes.
Holy.
Yes, that's for big. My game file. We're talking about Cyberpunk 2.0, just released like 2 weeks ago. It was a revamp of all of Cyberpunk, of what it was, and also added Phantom Liberty, which is the DLC pack that stars Idris Elba. It adds a new player area called Dogtown that you can go into. And wow, Ted just came across the screen. And
Sorry.
You're multiplying.
Okay. Behind you, Ted.
Yeah, watch out. There's a new Cyberpunk mode.
Sorry.
You're getting hacked.
I want to... Okay, we talked about Cyberpunk 3 years ago, pretty much to the day.
Wow.
When we all played Cyberpunk for what it was when it released. We all were kind of coming at it from the same way, that obviously there's something here to this game, but it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot missing. There's a lot of bugs. I talked about a story where I opened up a save file. Instead of being in the backseat of a car, I was in the front seat of a car inside another person, and I couldn't leave. So I had to like go back an hour to another save file. Mm-hmm. Errors like that. Mm-hmm. James, you've been playing Cyberpunk 2.0.
Yeah.
How many hours? Where are you at? What are you feeling?
So originally, I have my old save file that was
great.
still on my...
Did we all start new saves?
Yeah.
In 2.0? Okay.
Yeah. So it was 13 hours on my old one, and then my current one is at 8 hours. And I only remember the beginning events because I did a Nomad style in the first one, and then this one I did a Street Kid.
Yeah.
I think
we all did Street Kid for this one.
Yeah. Street Kid's really good. It's the best one. It's by far the best. I am enjoying it. I love the dialogue options. I felt like I knew it happened in the beginning on the first one, like the exact same things, but the events leading up to it were a little bit different, and I liked it. It felt more powerful. I had like a deeper connection versus the Nomad route, which you were just like kind of like thrown into it.
Oh, interesting.
So,
okay.
I love the Street Kid route.
I would say same with the Corpo, where I really liked the sub story of the Corpo agent, but I think I said this last week. It had like nothing to do with the other main characters.
Yeah, so you're saying like...
So it was really weird that for your corporate stooge of a character to have like a jobs guy.
Yeah.
It like didn't really make sense. Anyway.
Yeah. So I'm probably like the least play type here, and I've been doing not just main story but all the other.
You said 8.
It's only 8 hours. Yeah.
Oh wow.
But I had 13 originally, so I'm not even anywhere near close to where I was in terms of because I haven't been doing main story. I've been doing all the side stories, and I'm not touching Phantom Liberty until the very end.
So yeah, once you get to Act 3, that's when you should go to Phantom.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like reading. There's like a certain mission where I should start Phantom Liberty, so I'm just coasting through.
I like it.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
Yeah, because Phantom Liberty, you have like a different relationship with Johnny Silverhand that you would like kind of get to by Act 3. Where like if you started Phantom Liberty early, it's like, why are you and Johnny like tight? Why are you close? Yeah. Like it's weird. So, Ted, how much have you played of 2.0? What do you think of it so far? In contrast to your kind of last time you played it.
I mean, it's tough. So I put 10 hours in, more or less. And storyline wise, I think I am 2 to 3 story missions past where I left off,
Okay.
which is not very far. It's very soon after the prequel. So it's still very much in the beginning of this game, still in Act 1. And I there's no more vehicle bugs. Let's just get that out of the way. That's,
no.
I've also noticed. Yeah, I've also noticed there's nobody riding motorcycles out in the world. So I wonder if that has something to do with it too.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah, I'm having a very interesting time with Cyberpunk. I don't know if I'm as hot on it as you guys.
Okay.
It's a very adult video game.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a way that I wasn't ready for isn't quite the word, but like wasn't ready for, and neither were the other people who happened to be near the TV.
Oh yeah.
While I'm playing Cyberpunk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have some funny stories with that. I'll share those later. But overall, I also mean that it's an adult game in that it's like it is a computer game at its heart, which I think Jake even alluded to, that like Cyberpunk was at one point a computer game and then it was expanded to a console release. But I am just having a lot of fun / difficulty, like getting to know all of the systems. Pressing the scan button where you get to your computer vision, like it tells you a lot of information when you do that. And there's a lot of different possibilities. And on that point, the cyberware, this is just like when you do a tiny little quest to get to a cyberware vendor, and that's their way of explaining, like, this is how you get new spells, but like they display it to you as like, all right, here's all of them. And I was just like, oh, I wasn't ready to like read abilities like this. Like,
yeah.
It is a lot of like, we're just going to throw it at you and it's up to you to kind of figure it out, which in a weird way is kind of refreshing. But in other ways, I'm like, okay, I kind of just want to be guided through this scary, difficult world.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Cyberpunk does that often where like it will almost over explain certain systems that it has in its game. And it will not explain systems whatsoever, like the cyberware.
Right.
Like I have a thing right now where like I'm trying to do a lot of cyberware stuff in my character,
Same.
but I have like a cap limit and it's like,
Yep.
How do I increase this cap? Or like, am I always stuck here? But there's like a bunch of progress more. And I had to like literally just look it up online. Like, so what are ways that I can increase my cyberware capacity? So it's like, it's a game that's almost like benefited from the internet, but also like that doesn't feel like cheating in the game because in the game you have the internet. So I just kind of take that of like, well, I probably could like just look up something in my Cyberpunk wear thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but also it's not like a wiki game, right? It's not something where you should be going back to a resource. It's kind of just like sometimes they stick the landing, sometimes they don't on what's explained.
Yeah.
I noticed that with the perk tree where like the very bottom tier explains like what something does, like a dilute, like, I don't know, some term. And it's like, oh, you take less damage when you're running.
Mitigation.
But then mitigation, that's it. And then when you look up higher in the tier list, it just says
mitigation
causes more mitigation. It never explains stuff again. You have to go back and look. Little things like that where I'm like, oh, this is not going to hold my hand like an Ubisoft game might.
Yeah. And I think that like, I think in the end that works to the game's benefit far more than it works to its detriment. Yeah. So I'm 31 hours in, as I told you guys earlier, which is a lot. I also started a Street Kid, started a brand new profile. It was really fun. I got to a point of the game where I was like, oh, this is where I was at last time. Where I passed the Pan Am mission that I was on, and I was like, now I'm in a brand new game, which felt really cool. I'm kind of shocked how much I'm like in love with Cyberpunk. Like it is the Western RPG that I've wanted for a while. It also like, I had this thought earlier when I was like, we're going to talk about this game on the podcast. I was like, how do I want to describe it? And I was like, oh, you know what it feels like? It feels like what Cyberpunk was promised to be back in 2020. And now we're playing it 3 years later. We're like, if this game came out back in 2020, we'd all be talking about this is like one of the greatest games of all time because of what it's doing in 2020. But obviously the game wasn't ready. I think it's great. I think the story is, especially you're going to compare it a lot to Starfield because it's also like the last first person big RPG we all played. The way this game tells story is so interesting and like makes it very captivating. Where like I want to listen to people talk rather than like I'm waiting for people to finish talking. Which I just think is like really interesting, especially in like a first person game and how the game like tells a story. Like I'm happy just watching Idris Elba walk across the screen and talk to this girl Alex over and over again. Like that's engaging to me for 10 minutes of a talking scene. Like I think that's what's really impressive about Cyberpunk is like even the still moments are interesting.
We talked about it though, because it was like a moment in Starfield is you looking at a character, just deadpan, not moving, just them talking, and that's it. Whereas this game, they have movement. They're gonna pick someone up. They're gonna fight someone. They're gonna express emotion, like actually feel alive.
Yeah.
So you're not just there clicking through dialogue options and being, we were. I think what you brought up last week, like, is the Starfield model dead? With this game, it's like they better step it up because I like the full motion cap type scenes, and you can walk around and interact and look around, versus just being stuck in your, it's looking at someone and they just talk.
It sounds so dumb to be full like, I feel like I'm living in Night City sometimes. Like I feel like I'm actually in a world playing this game rather than like other games that are these types of RPGs where you just feel like you're interacting with something. Like often in Night City, I'm like, I could teleport over there on the fast travel, but like, I'll just hop on my motorcycle and ride there because like it's pretty cool out. Like it's raining and it looks really cool, and the ray tracing looks awesome on my PS5. And I'm like, this game is so great. It's like kind of hard to explain.
I really like the movement too. Like that's like been the biggest thing. If you're not going like a reflex tree or something like that and dashing or dodging, it makes the game like 10 times better.
Do you have the double jump yet, James?
I don't have the double jump.
Oh, eventually
I have the dodge and dash.
You're gonna double jump and air dash and just fly across the map, and it's the coolest thing. You just go and you're like jumping city blocks at a time.
Those are the 2 trees I'm going down though.
Yeah, I have not touched I think it's the reflex tree, which is a lot of movement stuff.
It's good.
And I'm starting to think that like in Cyberpunk 2.0, you kind of need that just for your own like tangential experience.
Yeah.
Because every video that I watch, people are dashing and air dashing and double jumping.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around like, I can't do any of that. What's going on? And so it's like, oh, maybe I should.
Yeah. What build are you going for? Like, what are you trying to kind of make your character in this world?
Yeah. My build that I had been going down was kind of a pistol sniper stealth type build. Which is starting to come together, but in the beginning was rather annoying because I didn't have the multiplier damage perks to make stealth kills kill people. Yep. And a stealth build is real stupid when you shoot them and they just go,
they
what?
Don't die.
Yeah. So it's coming together, but I think going down the reflex tree would be a lot of fun. Plus, just messing around with katanas, just as you pick them up. Yep. Blades seem very fun in this game.
They're so fun.
They connect like it's almost like a magnet where like you connect to whoever you're attacking in a way that just feels really good for a first person melee game.
Yes. The melee is
like because it's really easy to fuck that up, right? Because if the other person moves and you're just obviously you're
swinging at nothing.
So you just swing at nothing for a little bit, and then you have to look and then keep swinging. But with this, whatever they did, this kind of kinetic where like you kind of follow them as they're moving around, it feels really nice.
Yeah, that's my whole build is reflex and then cyberware and just like having my guy augmented.
Are you going Mantis Blades, Jake? Or
no, I have a katana.
Katana, okay.
Yeah, I always kind of forget about the Mantis Blades, but there's a whole cyberware limit, James, that I got to really play with. So,
true,
if I'm going to have my Sandusky or whatever it's called, then I got to really... the Sandusky.
Sandavistan.
The Sandavisky.
Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is, Ted?
Nope, no idea.
You haven't seen Edgerunners?
Nope, it's on my list, but I haven't seen it yet.
Edgerunners is fantastic, by the way. You should watch Edgerunners. It's really great. It's this like military cyberware that's in the show where this kid like gets it transplanted on top of his spine, and he can basically slow down time and like move fast throughout the slowed time. So now I have that where like my character can do that with the katana. So I just like run into a scenario, stop, slow down time, and I just go and just cut everybody up, let go, and then time comes back to normal, and they all just drop dead.
Everyone's dead.
And it's awesome.
That's really fascinating.
Yes.
No spoilers, yes or no. Is that related to a relic or is that a different item?
No, that is just a cyberware.
It was a military
because
cyberware.
In my watchings of Cyberpunk, I see everybody doing that, and I never saw the perk to do that. So I was like, this must just be like an endgame thing.
Yeah, it's a cyberware that you have to install in your body.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess with Cyberpunk 2.0, it's really interesting because like we all played Cyberpunk when it first came out and then didn't touch it again for like 3 years. So like they've progressively changed things throughout the last 3 years to then get to 2.0. One of our big complaints in the game was that your armor was all tied to what outfit you were wearing, where that is no longer the case.
Yep.
outfit is just for you to have cool drip.
It's just yeah, exactly. Which is what it should be.
Which it should
is
be.
awesome.
Yeah.
Threads.
Excuse me.
In colloquial language, yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to
Sick
be like
threads.
I was trying to be modern, Ted. I'm trying to be more.
Yeah,
like,
well, I'm trying to. You got to be before the mod, after the mod.
I'm trying to be in 2023. You're in 2027. I get it, man. I get it, dog.
I'm in 2077, and I'm wearing threads.
You're wearing threads. Well, I got drip on. But yeah, so you're doing your threads. And I like that no longer is your armor. That is no longer any stat bonuses.
That was a fantastic decision.
Yes.
Yep.
Looking at your character, being like, I'm wearing a purple puffer with a teal t-shirt, and I'm not wearing pants, but I have a huge dick because that's in Cyberpunk.
Yes.
It was very jarring when you looked at your inventory screen. Now it's just, oh, my guy's wearing a leather jacket. I don't have to worry about it.
It looks so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked great. So I think like that's one of the changes that they like really enhanced. All the armor is now attached to like your cyberware. So it's like in that inner system. I also like that, like we talked a lot about last time, stealth being very horrible. And that is no longer the case. Stealth feels pretty fine. I have not had any problems sneaking around places. So I don't know if you guys have, but obviously Ted, you're doing a stealth build, so doesn't sound like
it. It's been mostly okay. It's kind of classic stealth game problems where before you get all of the gear or the abilities or equipment to just like be a monster in stealth, it can feel a little bit like, you know, if I get discovered once, I'm better off just reloading. Pretty normal stuff. That's mostly been gone now that I can just headshot everybody and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm sure once I get this time slow thing, it's going to be even better.
So good.
Not too worried about it.
So fun. Ted, I got this thing where I can jump out of a car, do my time slow, and then kill everybody, and then hop back into my car and keep going.
That's pretty sick.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty Cyberpunk.
It's pretty Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about it. James, what's been really jumping out to you in this game? I'm curious, like what's been grinding your gear? What's been getting you going?
The one thing that's like really interesting, I'd say, is some of the builds that you can go down, like that I've looked at, I've noticed. It seems way more diverse and like they have branching trees.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. And you don't have to deal with that bullshit in Starfield where you have to like slice 3,000 guys before you can get to the next level. It's just you level up, you can level up your attributes so you can unlock the next tier, or you get your perk.
Yep.
And it's been beautiful. And then you go here if you want to install your augments. You go here if you want to buy them. You can just go to any little like box and sell your stuff. You don't have to go to a special vendor to get more money for your stuff. Like I just love that. It's been.
How often are you over encumbered in this game?
Never. Yeah, that's another plus one.
It's just crazy.
I can loot as much as I want, sell everything I don't want, upgrade when I do, and Even though I'm using weapons now, I'm going full melee. I'm gonna do like a sort of like melee, like.
Are you gonna do mantis blades?
I'm gonna try and do like a mantis blades type build.
Very cool.
Have either of you guys considered doing like a strength or body based build with like heavy weapons?
No, I have not.
No,
that seems like the least popular option. But I noticed it was there, and I was like, that seems kind of neat.
I wanted to dash more than anything.
Yeah. I just want to be like an assassin, but I could see you being like a tank and just never dying. Like it's so easy to like survive in this game.
Yes.
Which I think that's another thing. Normal is just a little bit too easy. I'm up the difficulty a little bit because it's just I'm a little bit too much of a like you get so much regen with your
Yeah, I don't think I've ever died in combat.
No. Yeah, so it's just a little bit too easy, but other than that, it's been fun. The enemies are fun. They're not basic. Like the weapon play is so good. Like you think about CD Projekt Red and you think about their games and they're mostly like sword based combat.
Yeah.
Like maybe some like archery stuff, and now like they have this like pretty good weapon system, and I'm like, dang, what if you had like some sort of like Apex type game, like Apex Legends, or bring back Titanfall and bring up like a little Titanfall Western RPG. Like that'd be kind of
pretty sick
because the gunplay is really nice. And
yeah.
Or I think Destiny. Like I think back when I first played Destiny, it's like, ooh man, like it was really fun, like getting cool weapons and
testing them out.
As much as I like the guns, I want to try the melee because that was one thing I was trying to do in Starfield and it sucked.
Yeah.
There's like no melee. The builds suck and you have to do so much shit just to do it, and you're like you suck in the beginning. This game, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna switch on melee. Here we go. Like I got all the stuff.
Yeah, there's like a clear melee. I almost think like this game half time like wants you to play melee.
Yeah.
Like this game wants you to be a cyber ninja. Like I feel like that's the direction it kind of pushes you. And it's fantastic. I have a silenced pistol. I got my samurai sword, and then I got a cool like pulse rifle, and I'm like,
from what I am to understand, it's because something to do with like blade dashing ninja build was the most broken, one of the highest complained about Cyberpunk 1.0 issues. And I believe a lot of the revamps was to address that problem specifically. I could be wrong about that, but I believe what you're looking at is like they very much put a lot of effort into making blades functional.
I believe like a lot of the dash systems and all of that was not in the original base game whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
There may have been a dash or something, but like how this dash now works and you move around,
it's really good.
So good. Yeah. It's like I think like they really revamped that kind of whole segment of the game. I'm really impressed just with Night City as a whole. I think we have not gotten a great open world like this in a while, like just pure city. I think like Elden Ring, Hyrule, all of that has been like great, like open plains and wastelands. But like just being in like a full city where like there isn't anything really outside of it is so cool.
I mean, Grand Theft Auto and Mafia are the two other competitors.
Yeah, I was thinking GTA 5 is probably the last like good open world city we've had.
How many years ago was
that? Was 2013, James 10.
Yeah. Mafia 3 did a pretty good New Orleans.
Oh yeah, but you had to drive everywhere in that game, so that was boring as shit. Remember that?
I'm just thinking of like competitor, like a big city kind of open world game.
Yeah.
I don't know if Assassin's Creed counts, but
no, because they got a lot of planes in there too. Yeah, okay. Like I mean, just like the location is this city,
right?
Like there's nothing really outside of it.
And it being a cyberpunk city, like you feel it, and that is very cool. It feels like a future city, and not in the fun way.
Right. It's like a really despicable future. It's like terrible. And I think that's really interesting.
Can I tell a story?
Yeah, please.
Both about our liberated future and also maybe don't play this game with other people around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a place at the beginning of the game. It's called like Juju Street or JoJo Street.
Juju Street.
It is it is kind of a red light district known for its prostitution and sex work. And there's a quest where you were supposed to go in and find a provider of items, like a person who sells things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the thing you're supposed to do in the game.
Right.
And so I'm running around. I'm kind of lost, but it's a beautiful game, so it's good to be lost. There are two icons on the map that show up. One of them's a pair of lips. One of them's like a coin. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like those are salespeople. I go to the guy with the coin. He says like, I'm not your guy. You're looking for somebody who's selling you the real shit. Run outside to the other guy. Double click it. He says $100. I'm like, yeah, sure. Press yes. It then turns into an unskippable cutscene in which I am having sex with a man.
Yes.
Complete POV. And let me tell you, there is no button on that controller that skips through that scene.
Oh, you just gotta enjoy that.
It's traumatizing. I had no idea that's what I was.
Strip club.
Yep.
I had no idea that's what I was paying for. I was ready to see like a shop menu pop up, and something else popped up.
Two things.
It was horrifying.
That's so awesome.
Anyway, that's my crazy story about Night City.
Well, like we talked about it a little last week on like the podcast, but like just walking around, like half of what you hear is like orgasm noises from like the adverts playing on all the screens around you. And,
yes.
Like, I think that adds so much though to the world of like you just walking around like just constantly berated by these ads for like in-game things that don't matter. Like feels so much like just this great reflection of like almost society nowadays. I'm fascinated by the world of Cyberpunk and Night City and like how it's all come to be. The history is super interesting and like
and that is both a warning and a compliment. If you are uncomfortable and or not into kind of a very over sexualized experience, Cyberpunk is that.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. I've seen it actually put down as a negative. A lot of people are like the amount of over the top in your face sex stuff can get pretty old pretty quick.
It can.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe. I'll tell it that. It definitely they are going for an aesthetic with Cyberpunk, I think, and they are nailing that specific aesthetic.
Yeah. Do you remember when in like the original 1.0 game you would find a bunch of dildos everywhere? You guys remember this problem?
I wasn't looking for dildos, but I believe you.
Like you would just loot people's bodies and they'd have like a rock hard dildo and you're like, I guess I'm picking that up off the person.
Yeah.
I haven't picked up a single dildo on my 2.0 playthrough.
I was going to say, you mostly just pick up like either things that you can equip to yourself or ambiguous crafting items that don't go into your like
ammo, medical stuff, and tier components. That's my.
And I think like back in the one old game, you used to pick up stuff that you would break down into components.
Yeah.
I think they have
get around the middleman.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think 2.0 has done what so many games need to do, where they take a step back, reflect on what they just made, and then make like educated and informed changes.
Yeah.
I think this really like, this might be the theme of the year at this point about, the side escape boys are over giant sprawling open worlds that we get tired of. This is an example of like, they took a look at it, they listened to feedback, and we're like, all right, here are the changes we make to make a much more, it's still open world, it's still massive, but it's much more streamlined.
Yeah.
Your point that I never had to worry about carry weight, even though I was looting everybody, awesome.
And you have carrying capacity. You have a capacity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've hit it like twice, and then I just go, oh, I probably should drop a gun, go sell all this stuff, and I'm good.
Yeah, go sell at a booth like right here, and also you don't have to waste your tier level components to increase your capacity because it's so big.
Yeah.
Unlike another game.
Well, and like you'll pick up these shards now that are like carrying capacity shards. So like throughout my 30 hours of playthrough, my carrying capacity has gone up 60 points by looting people's bodies. Mm-hmm. Not by, like James is saying, walking 20 miles while over encumbered so I can unlock the next perk level to put my perk point in. I like that system to me is really interesting. Cyberware also has a perk. I thought it was interesting to what you just said. Like, the theme of this year is we're kind of all over these like sprawling open worlds. And yet the games I feel like we talk about the most right now are Zelda, this, and Baldur's Gate. Like those are like the three that are kind of circulating when we are talking just about games. We haven't talked about Baldur's Gate much on this podcast yet, but like those are big games that are huge, massive open world stuff, but they're doing things in a different manner. And like this game, I don't feel like has a lot of bloat to it. They've gotten
not
a lot of bloat.
Not anymore. They have had 3
years.
They've had 3 years to trim any unnecessary fat.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of a beautiful thing.
It's awesome.
This game, though, even though it's like so good right now, it's not really going to win anything this year. It maybe gets like best comeback, like the No Man's Sky Award or something. But it's so good, but you can't even put it on your like games list because
is there a real No Man's Sky Award?
No,
is that
whatever
that would be hilarious.
Story.
Well, in baseball they name it after like
they have like the Hank Aaron like Man of the Year award.
Yeah, they should do that.
The No Man's Sky Award.
Come back
the Jeff Keighley Award.
Come back of the Year award. I love
it. That's beautiful.
This year is so stacked, and it's October, and we still got a couple months left, and there's still some good big heavy hitters coming. It's surprising how well this game like came back, and they put in the work for it. Yeah. And they even talked about CD Projekt Red to like talk about how much money they poured into it. So much money that they really are almost at a cash negative if they don't pick things up for their next. They got a while till their next game comes out. So I'm curious what they're gonna do content wise if they keep adding expansions.
I think it's done. I think it's done. They've said that this is pretty much done.
Damn.
Which because they're gonna make a second one.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Cyberpunk 2078.
Well, hopefully they'll learn their lesson.
Well, I think what's really great about this game is like CD Projekt Red was the developer that we were all gung-ho for. We loved them. Witcher 3, we loved them. They gave us a thank you note for buying The Witcher 3. They were like this company that was like this kind of enduring, wonderful little gaming company in the world of these massive corporations that shit out gross games all the time. I think it was kind of cool that CD Projekt Red came out with this game. But then like capitalism even got in their way and like pushed out this game 3 years before it was ready. And now we live in this really interesting world where we get to play the game that we were probably supposed to originally play, which I think is really cool. It reminds me a lot of like Zack Snyder's The Justice League in a weird way of like, it's just kind of crazy that we get this product. Like the fact that we get Cyberpunk that's not complete trash that, has only 4 people walking around on PS4, like we get this wonderful game now that it was supposed to be. And the story of Cyberpunk has changed. It's now like one of my favorite games I've played in a long time. The world is cool. Yeah.
I heard the devs unionized recently too, so that's even going to be even more impactful, I think, for that company and what they're going to produce. Yeah. Which we know they're producing another Witcher. Who knows if they do more media content because they have Edge Runners. They also have the Witcher.
I was about to say they in between Cyberpunk 1.0 and 2.0 and the garbage fire that was original Cyberpunk, they came out with a show. Yeah, a bunch of shows. I'm not going to say.
Well, they're not involved. They're not involved in the Witcher Netflix show whatsoever.
No, but they did Edge Runners and the I think they're involved in that Witcher animated show. The Castlevania.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. No, I meant specifically Edge Runners, where they were like, I mean, at the time, Cyberpunk was a trashed brand. I know it's a lot of love. Cyberpunk 2020 is a board game people like. Not hating on the franchise necessarily, but like overall, it was not, doing well for them in the moment. It would seem like a weird pitch to then greenlight, like, we're going to do a show about a game nobody wants to play.
Right.
But they did it. Enough people liked it. And now that the game's good, it's like a multiplier of like, all right, now I'll go back and check out that show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really wondering, like, they have a lot of interesting opportunities before their next game comes out of like, what else do they want to do? Which is very cool. I'm very happy for them that they took basically 2 bets. First one didn't work out. They doubled down, and then now it's coming to again.
Yeah. And I know that there's a live action Cyberpunk show coming that they've announced, I think with Netflix as well. So we'll see whatever that is.
Yep.
Be really great if Keanu Reeves came back as Johnny Silverhand.
That would make it for me.
I gotta say,
I need it.
I think this is Keanu Reeves' overall just best performance. I think as Johnny, like, he is Johnny Silverhand, is like a genuinely great character. Keanu Reeves, love the guy. He's in some of my favorite movies. Not the greatest actor. He just doesn't always bring it.
No.
But I think like as Johnny Silverhand, he brings a really interesting like kind of laissez-faire attitude that he has in all of his characters that works for this kind of like beguiled rock star that has given up on everything.
It's a very douchebag attitude, but it works.
So well. And like it becomes
Yeah.
endearing a little bit because it's Keanu Reeves, and Keanu Reeves like makes things likable. He manages to make Johnny Silverhand, especially when you get to like Act 3 and stuff. Like, I'm all in. I love Johnny Silverhand. Like, my V and him are fucking dying together. Right away. Yeah,
that's really interesting. Yeah, I don't like Johnny Silverhand right now, but I think that's but
you're kind of supposed to not like him.
Yeah,
I was going to say I think that's kind of on theme where like, the flashbacks of him that I'm playing through now, he's like a complete dickwad.
No,
and like the only dialogue options are like a complete dickwad, and it's like this guy sucks.
I don't want to be a dickwad.
So I'm really happy to hear that he grows on you, I guess is what I'm saying. I will say, this is kind of going back to our gameplay discussion.
Please.
I'm really fascinated by the way dialogue works in this game. It is really interesting that the amount of times I've clicked a dialogue option and basically been told in so many like in-game words, like, that was the wrong call.
Yeah.
Like you made a mistake. It was just, again, going back to this kind of like, it's a more mature video game. I was not expecting. I was like, I'll pick the good guy option because whatever. And then the game's like, that guy was a bad guy. You needed to.
Yeah, you should have killed him.
He hated that you said a good guy, thing. Which, God, I can all the game RPGs that I've played recently, with the exception of maybe Elden Ring and Zelda, are all this just like, do you want to be the generic good guy or do you want to be the generic bad guy? I played Mass Effect just picking the bad guy options all the time, and everything worked out exactly the same.
Right.
So it's fascinating that like, I'm playing Johnny Silverhand and can pick these like slap your girlfriend is like an option you can pick, and you're like, oh shit, and that might be the right option.
Sean Connery would agree with you.
Yeah, like it's interesting, and I'm having a lot of fun just with that. And some of these dialogue options are timed, which I think that should be a standard in all video games.
I think that's super cool half the time. You're like, oh shit, I gotta say something. Or I like sometimes like there are moments that little bar pops up to say something, and I'm like, I don't think V should say anything. Like, this is not between Idris Elba and this girl are arguing, and I am not involved in this argument. And like, I've done that multiple times. It's like, I'm not gonna say shit.
Right. I love what they're doing with dialogue to a point where I hope that this becomes something of a standard where like we just up the overall game, no pun intended, of dialogue, because I'm having a lot of fun with that.
Well, I think CD Projekt Red is really talented at putting you in a character's shoes in an RPG. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Mass Effect. Like, Mass Effect Shepard is like a shell. And you are either going to be good shepherd or bad shepherd, and you're going to ride that out, and then you're going to have a great time. Like, Geralt's...
Let me just say, that like, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good or compelling. Like, Bad Shepherd's laughably bad.
No, Bad Shepherd makes no sense. Like you're supposed to be good shepherd. Like,
exactly. That's the whole, like going back to what you said, like a shell of a character.
Renegade Shepherd's not real. It's good shepherd. It's Paragon Shepherd. But like, they're really good at putting you in like a character's shoes. Like, they're able to make you feel almost like Geralt, of like an outcast, and like, why would you help certain people in scenarios? Like, in a way that most games don't do very well. Most games, you always want to be the hero. And I think like in CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk as well, there are multiple times as V where like, you don't want to save everybody. You don't want to do the noble choice. You're doing what's best for you as like a character. And I think that's really interesting because games struggle with that perception of choice often. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, I'm so going back to our previous point about just having a character like look at you and then give dialogue. Like I'm every time I have to talk to somebody in Cyberpunk, I'm on edge because it's like a gameplay thing of like
Yeah.
I need to figure out. I need to.
What are they gonna
There's a
say?
puzzle here. Yeah. What do I say? When do I say it? Sometimes that pops up. Versus before, where it's just like you can skip through most RPG dialogue of like good guy,
Yeah.
neutral, good guy, whatever. So I am loving the dialogue.
Me too. Yeah, there was a moment in the Phantom Liberty campaign where like I'm at like a casino table and I'm talking to these two people trying to like basically get information so I can't leave. And in the background, you just see the main bad guy who you have yet to meet walk forward to the table, and you're just like, oh fuck, like, and I can't leave and everything. And like, I imagined this as if Bethesda did this moment, and like how your force perspective would constantly be changing. Where it's like the way that they were able to do this in Cyberpunk and like how the conversation system works, and you can answer one person or the next person, I think is like really interesting when you get like multiple people you can talk to. But like, so I just think that that was such a cool moment of like, oh wow, this game is like different in this first person RPG world of the games that I've played. Like it's using scenes as like a way to communicate stuff. It's really cool. Yeah.
I'm into that aspect of it. Like I said, a mature game for sure, but very much coming through as a positive. I'm so happy for them.
Yeah. James, any things tickling your fancy about Cyberpunk you still haven't talked about?
Well, I just want to definitely play more, but I did want to bring up one thing that it's slight spoilers, but we've all been there. At least you two, I sure have. You know, when you first meet the Voodoo Boys and you have to like do stuff for them.
Yeah.
I just finished this quest last night, so
okay.
Thank you for the
I actually
warning.
picked the option where you just kill them all. So like I picked the Baldur's Gate option.
Nice.
And I had to fight my way out from like the point where you're in that ice bath all the way out and
Holy
just kill
shit.
all of them.
Okay.
It was some rough work, but I guess I'm done with the Voodoo Boys.
I guess they're done too.
So I don't know what else was there.
I mean,
but I was like, ooh.
Without spoiling, like before the part you're speaking of, there is a fairly intense choice that you can make.
Right.
And again, this is where like my point really comes through of like, I didn't know that. I was just like, oh, this must be the end of the quest. This is the final boss type character or something.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then you clicked it and you're like, and then Johnny Silverhand pops up and he's like, well, you may have gotten backstabbed on that one. Like, let's just try and get out of here and get what we can. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that I really had to think about it. It's interesting that the Voodoo Boys quest comes up.
So
for both
funny.
of us.
It's well, I have to say, after like that quest, 20 hours later, I have not talked to the Voodoo Boys a lot.
Okay, cool. So I just got rid of them. So I have to worry about that.
I don't think it's going to change much for you.
One less problem.
I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 aside, I assume they can't get too into like the entire world as a clockwork orange and like you killing the Voodoo Boys at the beginning affects something 50 hours in. I'm assuming they can't do that deep, but who knows? Sky's the limit.
I don't think they can, but I also think that this game is. I hate to compare Starfield because it feels weird, but like, I think you kind of have I think you have to with this regard. Like, I don't think the game shows its seams like Starfield shows its seams of like, I can go do everything for everybody. I think you can in this game too, but it doesn't show like Starfield shows. It doesn't offer it to you. You have to seek it out, and I think that's more interesting to me. Of like, you could be the Crimson Raiders and the whatever the government was called, the new Atlantis, the NCA or whatever it was called. You could do both those at the same time, and nothing will change in Starfield. Mm-hmm. Like, but in Cyberpunk, you could probably do like the Arasaka quest and then something else that doesn't align, but it's hidden better. Yeah, and to me, that's more impressive. I think like, even if it's not changing, it's hidden better.
Right.
Okay. And, one bad.
I was going to say just, all spoilers aside, I would definitely, if you are trying to be spoiler free, stay away from YouTube.
Yes.
That being said, I question your thought, Jake. Apparently people who die seamlessly in the story can be kept alive. Little things like that I see every now and again, and I'm just like, oh shit, okay, maybe. So I don't know.
I see what you're saying.
What is possible and what is not. In terms of like, if main characters die, or if you make these decisions, I don't know how much that actually affects things. Yeah, and I don't want to know. I don't want to know because I'm going to figure that out on my own.
I'm just having a great time. James, what's your negative?
Yeah, so the one negative, there's a lot of these forced walking type scenarios where you have to like walk behind someone. luckily for the most part you can run.
Mhm.
So and if you run, they run.
Yep.
So I thought that's a good thing. It's like you can just run and they'll start running to you like the
That's
point instead of walking somewhere.
that's interesting. I actually
I
really
like the
enjoyed.
walking.
I
did
I
too.
like the
I
walking
hate the walking.
just because Night City,
So
feels
cool.
alive.
Yeah.
And so just walking through a neon alleyway just feels normal. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I'm with
Like
you.
it kind of works for the game versus small town Fallout Bethesda game where it's just like, all right, let's just go.
Yeah,
'Cause,
like why are we walking
I've
through this weird corridor? I'm
yeah
with you on that regard. I like the walking segments to an extent. I will say, James, there are times where we are walking for a stupidly long time.
Yeah, there's way too
Yeah.
many. Yeah.
Yeah. There are
It's
a
just
few
like,
quests.
I
yeah.
get it, dude. I know you're gonna show me this. You're gonna show me this. We don't have to like walk 2 steps. We could look at it from here.
Yeah. There are a few quests where like you have to like scan something in a certain order or something, and like those don't always work very well. And I'm like, what am I doing in this little room? Like, give me the. But that happens, I would say, rarely too.
Mhm.
Disrupt my playthrough. But, yeah, I don't have a ton of negatives to say as of
That's
right
my
now.
only negative.
It's really negative. It's not
Which
a
is
bad.
crazy to think.
I've kind of said all of my negatives just generally with it being
Yeah.
a mature title, which again, more of a preference thing. And I'll add to that of like, I will say, and this is totally preferential, my eyes don't like Cyberpunk that much.
Oh, really?
It's a lot of like reds and blues
Yeah.
interlaced with each other. Like all of your computer stuff is kind of this red color.
Is there not a
Which
colorblind mode? I thought they had the
which
colorblind settings.
well, they probably do, and I'm
This
not
is more of a
colorblind.
general complaint for Ted.
Yeah. I'm not colorblind, and
Yeah, but
to
you
some
can change
people,
the
like
colors.
in a screenshot, this it all looks great. It's very on theme. I just find myself squinting a lot as I read blue text with a bunch of red background. Kind of annoying, super minor, but again, very on theme for Cyberpunk. But I'm just learning playing this game.
Yeah.
Like, I think I prefer a much more natural color
That's so
palette to
interesting. I love
the
this color
harsh
palette.
Cyberpunk.
I love
Oh,
the
like
like
the
the
colors?
blues, the pinks, the reds, the purples, like just blasting through neon
yeah.
and smoke.
And it looks great, and it's perfect in context. I just, when I'm like reading an ability, I'm like, all right, this could be a little easier.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
That's
I think
just-
that's
that's
us
just a
being
very-
old.
Well, you're
though, too.
playing
Yeah.
on console, right?
Right. And so
Yeah, okay. Well,
I think a lot of my preferential concerns is that I am playing a computer game on console.
right.
Jake, I think you'll understand this too, where like right thumbstick is a mouse cursor for the
Oh
menus.
yeah, but that's
as
like
well.
every fucking game now on a console. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
and you can tap the D-pad to like make it do but it does both. And so it is just that little thing of like I'm flying the cursor up to save and I'm flying it to teeny little thing. It's because I'm playing a computer game on my couch.
If I could go back in time to Bungie when they decided to do this mouse cursor on a menu thing on a console, I'd punch whoever said that and been like, "No, stop! Don't ever do this. We don't want
It was
this."
me.
I know.
It was James. It was James.
Yeah, I called him up.
Fuck.
I
We
know.
didn't know
It's
each
funny,
other yet, so it's
like-
okay.
yeah, it's funny. We live in this world, which is like the greatest time in the world to be playing video games.
Yes.
No question.
This is the best year to be playing
This
video
is the
games.
year, and we
Well,
predicted this
I
year.
just mean like
Jake.
this is just the best time to be playing video games. But like it's really funny that how many ideas that were computer games, city builders, RTS games are all coming to console, and they're all coming, and then we're getting what we wanted finally after like 20 years. I can play an RTS game, a management game, intense mature RPG, all from the comfort of my couch. And I'm learning that maybe
We
the
didn't
mouse and
want
keyboard
that.
doesn't translate to the controller very well, and I don't know if I actually want this anymore.
No, I think you're right in that regard as well. Yeah.
It's very much a first world problem.
It is, yeah. The menu, I can see that though. I don't like that. But you can move it around with the D-pad, so you're okay.
Yeah, very, very minor. Again, playing a computer game on a console, it shows. That's fine.
Yeah. No. Any final thoughts on Cyberpunk? Ted, you have any last little tidbits?
No, just I'm happy for them.
Have you touched the DLC yet, Ted?
No, I am gonna if
Do
I
the same thing.
make it to Act 3 without being distracted, or around Act 3, I'm gonna pick it up.
Okay.
Okay.
I
It's
am
super
looking
cool.
forward to it. I am told the DLC and just whatever they have learned over the 3 years of fixing Cyberpunk really shine through in the DLC. So I think if I might not finish the game, but I'm hoping to complete that DLC if that makes sense.
the best story missions I have played so far have taken place in Phantom Liberty.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Also, huge sucker for Idris Elba.
He's great.
So,
Yeah.
It's great. It's dude, and
You-
Ted, it's Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
you're recruited basically into the IMF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I've been told. Is some kind of ridiculous international
it's
secret,
awesome. There's a whole scene where you like
plot.
sit down and Idris Elba's like, so here's the plan. And you're like, like stuff showing up on the side of the screen, like, we have these 3 targets. You're like, yeah, you fucking do. All right. What bridge are we going to, my guy? Where are we going?
A lot of
Idris?
moving in of satellite footage.
Yep. And he's like, we're gonna enter from the sewer plant. He's like, grab this suit. Like, this is fucking awesome, man. This is great.
No, I'm in.
Yeah, I really recommend it. It's awesome. And then like my favorite part is like, I did not think that Keanu Reeves is gonna be as in the DLC as much as he's in, and like Johnny Silverhand has a lot of commentary on everything that's happening in this DLC as well.
So,
it's like,
so Keanu's like pretty recent with CD.
No, like he did stuff for this project. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, that's great.
He's in this DLC.
Glad that relationship's still there.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, Keanu Reeves is very pro Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I hope he's pro for acting in it.
Yeah,
he's great.
I was going to say
for the show. Yeah, no, he's pro for the show.
You hear a lot of named actors coming in to do not acting necessarily, and just being like, "Yeah, I was paid for it. It's whatever." Some bullshit. Keanu Reeves seems pretty. He is into the character. He likes Cyberpunk. He came back for more. I think that's really cool.
He did tell somebody in an interview recently that he's like, if they make a show about Cyberpunk and they have Johnny Silverhand in it, and I'm not Johnny Silverhand, it doesn't make sense because I am Johnny Silverhand. And you're like, fuck yeah, you are, Keanu. All right, man.
Yeah. I think like Norman Reedus in Death Stranding, like someone who like really takes their role like pretty seriously. So
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really recommend Phantom Liberty once you get there too. It's fucking cool. So my little final bits, I'm amazed at how much I like Cyberpunk. I believe it's like one of my favorite RPGs I've played. I'm just kind of all in. I love it. So yeah, play Cyberpunk.
How long until you're finished, do you think?
I'm gonna beat both the DLC and the story. Like I'm in.
Okay.
So like I'm gonna beat Phantom Liberty, I'm gonna beat the story. I'm gonna make out with Judy. It's gonna be a great time.
Just a side question. How many of the non-essential quests have you found yourself doing? Are you kind of sticking to the main story? Are you getting lost in some? Are there interesting side quests?
So like, I think what's interesting about Cyberpunk, there is like a main story, like the Johnny Silverhand quest. We'll just call it, and it branches out, and there's different people you interact with. But like, you branch out and do the interactions, and they just kind of branch out too. So like Judy is a central character in a main mission for a while. She then has like her whole side story stuff that just spawns by being around Judy that I found really interesting. So like I've done a lot of the side stuff through the main characters, but like Panam wants me to like come back and like hang out with her. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like I don't need to do anything more with you.
Okay.
Like, God.
That's interesting. Yeah. I didn't know that at first. I came to it basically today of like it was confusing to me that I was like, I just have like 3 quests. It doesn't really say what's what. And it's not that like harsh denotion of like, this is a side quest. It doesn't matter. So that's really interesting that they did that, because I was just kind of doing whatever quest popped up, and I didn't know if I was doing anything wrong. So that's good to know that it naturally just flows into side quests.
And I think the way that you play. Oh, sorry, James.
No, go ahead.
I just think the way that you should play this game is like whatever your character is feeling to do at the moment, go do it. Yeah. Don't care if it's a main mission, side mission, or whatever. Like that for me is like, if he wants to go do this right now, let's go do this. Like I think that's an interesting way to go about it. Yeah, James.
No, I was gonna say like what Ted was saying. Like I just remember like I fucked up with Panam. Like she texted me something and I didn't really read it. I was just like, oh okay, hey. I just and the options were like 2 options. It was like one that was like kind of like a serious option, and then the other one was okay. So I just hit okay, and then she texts back. She's like, "What the fuck? You're gonna say okay to that?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm done with you, man." Like
and her whole quest line
is too much for me. This is too much for me.
You can deny the entire DLC, by the way. So don't say no to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. When the lady calls you, you can be like, "No, I'm good," and it will just block out the entire DLC on your playthrough.
That's funny.
Yeah. So always accept quests in Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching the 148th episode of the Side Escape Gaming Podcast. We'll be back next week. We'll be talking about something, and then we're gonna go on a 2-week break because I'm gonna go to New Zealand.
We need to prepare for the 150th, so 2-week break.
Wow, we do. We're gonna come back and do a 150th. I got an idea for it then. All right, we'll see you next week for episode 149. Peace.